Mr. Schneider.
Thank you, and let me thank the witnesses for your patience, but also your clarity here. I'm going to kind of run through and maybe jump around. Talia, Ms. Dror, thank you. Something maybe you didn't expect to hear from the podium, but kol havkavod. You've been wonderful. Is that your parents behind you?
They are, yes.
You should be very proud of your daughter. My sons are a decade ahead of you. My oldest son is a Dartmouth grad and at Harvard Law School. Mr. Lehman, I thought you'd appreciate that. We're from Chicago. My physical therapist is someone named Jennifer Cohn. Her husband Charles works with you. She says hello. I'm going to have connections with all of you before I'm done here. But I want to thank you. My younger son went to Muhlenberg and school, also with a large Jewish population. They were a decade earlier, so it was a different experience. But he had a classmate named from Chicago named Madison Poland, and her cousin, Hirsch Goldberg Poland, is a captive in Gaza right now. You may have heard his story. He lost his arm. We need to get the Red Cross into seeing those captives. We need to get those captives home today, yesterday, in fact. Ms. Tishby, you touched on the fact 240. The youngest one is, well, was taken at 9 months, is now
9 months, yeah.
10 months old.
10 months old, and also...
Wait, don't take
sorry.
this is my story, and I'm teasing. But he's not the youngest one anymore.
I know.
There was a woman who was 8 months pregnant when she was taken captive,
yeah.
and we believe that she has now given birth. So the youngest captive is someone who is, God willing, alive, and yet has spent every day of that baby's life a captive of Hamas and must be able to come home.
Bring them home.
Bring them home. One of my colleagues mentioned that anti-Semitism wasn't an issue when we were in school. I went to school a long time ago, 40 years ago, at Northwestern, which I'm going to come back to in a second. Anti-Semitism has always been an issue. It just hasn't always been front and center. It hasn't been open. It hasn't been so accepted. And today, not only is it open and accepted, and I take this term from someone I saw screaming about it in the UK, it's fashion. It's fashionable to be anti-Semitic. And the high anti-Semitism now is anti-Zionism, and people are celebrating it. I think Natan Sharansky, who was there yesterday, I had a chance to speak with for a little bit, his 3 Ds of demonization, delegitimization, and double standard hits it right on the head. And Dr. Shanzer, last time we were together, I did a march through history going back to the 3,000 years that the Jews have been in the land of Israel. I'm going to go to the reverse area, and this I will start with Ms. Tishby. Israel was created what year?
1948, re-emerged.
And Google is a wonderful thing. Your grandmother was the founder of a kibbutz, Degania. What year was Degania created?
Degania was created in 1910. 1910, yes. 1910. I was going to say 8, but...
It was a community that predated the state of Israel and is still there today.
There's been Jewish presence in the land of Israel for generations,
so
forever.
We are on the same wavelength because I was going to go to Sfat.
Yeah.
And what's Sfat famous for?
Kabbalah.
Kabbalah. The Jews that came to Sfat at that time, where did they come from?
Jerusalem and
Spain.
Spain, yeah.
They came from Spain because they were kicked out of Spain in the 16th century.
Mm-hmm.
But Sfat was one of the 4 holy cities at the time of the Bible, 2,000 years ago. Jews have been in the land of Israel for 3,000 years. And I mention that because that is what we're talking about here on campuses. This argument that Israel is a colonial enterprise, a post-colonial, I don't even know the words they say. It's not. It's
settler colonialist.
So thank you. That is the
Apartheid oppressor.
Yeah. And the last bastion of settled colonialism that needs to be
even though it's a place where Jews have lived for so long. So, Mr. Lehman, if I can touch on you in the last year, free speech, as a lawyer, free speech is not always acceptable. You can't yell fire in a crowded theater. It's the idea of fighting words. And I looked it up from Cornell's website, in fact, but fighting words are words meant to incite violence such that they may not be protected free speech under the First Amendment. The U.S. Supreme Court first defined them in Chaplinsky versus New Hampshire, 1942, as words, quote, by their very utterance inflict injury or tend to incite immediate breach of the peace, end quote. Mr. Lehman, are we seeing that on college campuses, and are there things that universities can do to address it?
Yeah, well, say hello to Jennifer Cohen. I saw her husband, who's a fantastic Hill director, on Sunday, Charles. But on this issue, we are seeing it, and again, what is so problematic is we're seeing it in hundreds of campuses with hundreds of instances of hate speech. We have documented them, and they are hate speech that exactly crosses the line you're describing, because they are inciting violence. The words are around, genocide of and by Jews, and the words are directed at Jews in a way that, frankly, never asks them, by the way, what they think about the Middle East. No one ever says, what do you think about the two-state solution? No one ever says, are you empathetic to Palestinians? Do you care about their rights and future as well? All they do is treat Jewish students in these cases as these horrible baby killers, and it has to stop. And that's, again, what we're trying to
I wish I had more time to talk more. I will say Northwestern they got it wrong at first. They are creating a anti-Semitism task force finally and taking steps. I think it's what schools can do. Mr. Greenblatt, you have it in your testimony, and I will highlight it as well. Thank you all very much. I yield back.